The Voss estate burned like a funeral pyre under the winter moon, flames roaring through centuries-old stone as if the house itself had always wanted to die. Arya Voss, 17, the last living daughter, ran barefoot through the snow, white nightgown torn and soaked with blood that wasn't hers. Her father's scream still echoed in her ears, her brothers' bodies crumpled in the halls, her mother's lifeless eyes staring at nothing. The Volkovs had come for them all. She was the only one who escaped, the final loose thread, the girl who should have died with the rest. She didn't know why her legs carried her to the Volkov mansion. Maybe because it was the last place they'd look. Maybe because she had nowhere else. She climbed the ivy wall, fingers bleeding on thorns, slipped through an open second-floor window, and collapsed inside a bedroom that smelled of cedar and gun oil. Damian Volkov, 28, eldest son, heir to the empire, beautiful and terrifying, stood shirtless in the moonlight, fresh scar across his ribs from a fight earlier that night. He didn't flinch when she fell at his feet, small, trembling, innocent face streaked with soot and tears, eyes wide with hate and terror when she realized whose room she'd entered. "Save me," she whispered, voice cracking, barely audible. "Please." He stared down at her, silent for one long heartbeat. Then he knelt, slow, deliberate, and gathered her long dark hair in one hand, fingers gentle, almost reverent, as if touching something fragile he might break. She flinched, waiting for pain. Instead he pulled her against his chest, wrapped strong arms around her shaking body, and pressed his lips to the top of her head. He breathed, voice low and steady. "No one touches what's mine." The door crashed open. 3 of his father's men stormed in, guns raised, faces hard. "Master," one said, voice tight. "Give her to us. She's the last Voss. Your father wants her head." Arya shrank into Damian's back, small hands clutching his shirt, face pressed to his spine like she could disappear inside him. Damian stood slowly, towering, coatless, every muscle coiled. He pulled his black coat from the chair, draped it over her shoulders, covering her torn nightgown, hiding her from their eyes. "She stays with me," he said, voice calm, lazy, deadly. The men hesitated. He smiled, slow, cruel, the kind of smile that promised graves. "Tell my father I'll handle the girl." They left. The room went quiet again. He turned to her, tilted her chin up with 2 fingers. She looked at him with pure hate, eyes burning, lips trembling, tears freezing on her cheeks. He could see it clearly. And he smiled again, softer this time, almost tender, because his heart twisted in a way it never had before. The Volkov mansion was a fortress of marble and secrets, every hallway lined with portraits of dead men who had ruled with blood. Arya woke in a bedroom that smelled of cedar and gunpowder, the heavy black coat still draped over her shoulders like a shield she didn't ask for. She was alone. The door was locked. The windows were barred with iron that looked like it had been forged for prisons, not houses. She stood on trembling legs, nightgown torn and filthy, hair matted with ash and snow. The mirror showed a girl she barely recognized, pale, wide-eyed, innocent face streaked with soot, but the hate in her eyes was sharp, alive, burning. She hated this house. She hated the men inside it. She hated the one who had wrapped her in his coat and whispered, "Mine," like it was a vow. She tested the door. Locked. She tested the windows. Locked. She found a letter opener on the desk, sharp, silver, useless against steel. She hid it in her sleeve anyway. Hours passed. Footsteps in the hall. The door opened. Damian Volkov filled the doorway, tall, dark, coat gone, shirt sleeves rolled to show the scars on his forearms. He carried a tray, hot tea, bread, fruit, a glass of water. Simple. Almost kind. He set it on the small table by the window. Didn't speak. Just looked at her. She backed against the wall, eyes blazing. "Why am I here?" she asked, voice shaking but steady. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, voice low and calm. Because I said so. She laughed, bitter, broken. You think that's an answer? He stepped closer. She lifted the letter opener, held it out like a threat. He didn't flinch, just smiled, slow, cruel, but something softer flickered in his eyes when he saw how badly her hand shook. Put it down, princess, he said. You'll hurt yourself. I'll hurt you first. He moved fast, too fast. One hand closed around her wrist, gentle but unbreakable, the other cupped her cheek, thumb brushing a streak of ash from her skin. You already did, he whispered. When you fell into my room and looked at me like I was the devil. She jerked away. He let her go. Eat, he said, nodding to the tray. You'll need strength. I won't take anything from you. He sighed, almost tired. Then starve. Your choice. He turned to leave. Wait, she said, hating herself for it. He paused, back to her. Why did you stop them? She asked. Your father wants me dead. He looked over his shoulder, eyes dark. Because you're mine now. She laughed again. Sharp, angry. I'm not yours. I'm no one's. He turned fully, stepped close enough that she could smell cedar and gun smoke on him. You were no one's, he said, voice dropping lower. Now you're mine. And I protect what's mine. He reached out, brushed a strand of hair from her face. She slapped his hand away. He smiled, slow, dangerous, the smile of a man who had already won. Keep fighting, princess, he said. It only makes me want you more. He left. The door locked behind him. Arya sank to the floor, back against the wall, knees to her chest. She clutched his coat tighter around her, hating how it smelled like safety. Hating how much she wanted to believe his words. Because in the silence of the locked room, with snow falling outside and hate burning inside, she realized something terrifying. She was the last boss girl. And the devil had decided to keep her. When you fell into my room and looked at me like I was the devil. She jerked away. He let her go. Eat, he said, nodding to the tray. You'll need strength. I won't take anything from you. He sighed, almost tired. Then starve. Your choice. He turned to leave. Wait, she said, hating herself for it. He paused, back to her. Why did you stop them? She asked. Your father wants me dead. He looked over his shoulder, eyes dark. Because you're mine now. She laughed again. Sharp, angry. The first week was a war of silence. Damien brought her food 3 times a day, simple meals, always warm, always placed on the table without a word. He never touched her again. Never spoke unless she spoke first. But he watched. Always watched. From the doorway. From the chair in the corner. From the shadows when she thought he was gone. She refused to eat at first. He waited. On the 3rd day she took a bite of bread, tears in her eyes, hating herself for it. He smiled. Small, private, like he'd won something precious. She tried the door every night. Locked. She tried the windows. Barred. She tried the letter opener on the lock. It bent. On the 7th night she stood at the window, snow falling thick and silent, and whispered, I hate you. He was behind her in an instant, close enough that she felt his heat through the coat she still wore. I know, he said softly. But hate is better than nothing. She spun, slapped him. He caught her wrist gently, brought it to his lips, kissed the inside. You're safe here, he murmured. No one will touch you. Not my father. Not his men. Not even me. She yanked her hand away. Liar. He smiled, sad and cruel. Believe what you want, princess. But you're not leaving this room until you stop looking at me like I'm the monster who killed your family. She stared at him, eyes burning. You are. He looked away first. For the first time. Then he left. The door locked behind him. That night she cried until she slept. She didn't know he stood outside the door the whole time, listening, fists clenched, hating himself more than she ever could. Weeks passed. The room became her world. The coat became her armor. Damien became the only person she saw. He brought books, music, a small radio so she could hear the world outside. He never asked her to speak. But he spoke to her, low, lazy stories about his childhood, his brother, the empire he would inherit. One night she asked, voice small, "Why did your father kill my family?" He sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees. "Because your father refused to kneel." She stared at him. "And you?" He looked at her, eyes dark. "I never wanted to kneel either." Silence. Then, quietly, "I'm sorry." She laughed, bitter. "Sorry doesn't bring them back." "No," he said. "But it keeps me from killing you." She looked at him, really looked. Saw the shadows under his eyes. The way his hands shook when he thought she wasn't watching. The way he never once crossed the invisible line he'd drawn around her bed. She hated him. But she didn't want him dead anymore. That night she slept without nightmares for the first time since the fire. He stayed outside the door. Listening. Protecting. Months later. The room was no longer a prison. It was hers. She had books, clothes, a small desk for sketching. She still wore his coat when she was cold. One evening he came in, coat off, shirt sleeves rolled, tired. He sat on the floor against the wall, head back, eyes closed. She watched him. Then, quietly, she sat beside him. Not touching. Just close. He opened his eyes. Surprised. "Why?" she asked. He looked at her, really looked. "Because I love you." She stared. "I know you hate me," he said. "I know you should. But I love you anyway. And I'll keep you here forever if that's what it takes." She laughed, soft, broken. "You're insane." "I know." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Just for a moment." "I don't hate you anymore," she whispered. He closed his eyes. A single tear slipped down his cheek. She wiped it away. Then she kissed him, slow, gentle, the first kiss she'd ever given him. He kissed her back like a man drowning. They didn't speak after. They just sat there, in the quiet, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. The cage was still there. But now it had a door. And she chose not to walk through it. Because sometimes love isn't freedom. Sometimes love is the monster who keeps you safe. And sometimes the monster is the only one who ever truly saw you. After Damien claimed Arya as his, the mansion became a silent battlefield. His father, Viktor Volkov, the iron-fisted mafia king who had ordered the Voss massacre, did not forgive easily. He saw Damien's refusal as weakness. A betrayal. A crack in the empire. For weeks, Viktor watched from his study, cigar smoke curling, eyes cold. He sent men to test Damien's loyalty, small provocations, whispers of rebellion among the ranks, subtle threats against the girl locked in his son's room. Damien handled them all. Quietly. Efficiently. Bodies disappeared into the river. Whispers turned to silence. But Viktor's patience thinned like ice in spring. One night, Viktor summoned Damien to the war room. The old man sat at the head of the long table, flanked by his most trusted lieutenants. Arya's name hung in the air like smoke. She is poison, Victor said, voice gravel. She's the last boss. Kill her, or I will. Damien stood at the other end, coat open, hands in pockets, calm as death. No. Victor's eyes narrowed. You defy me for a girl? Damien smiled, slow, cruel, the same smile he gave Arya when she fought him. I defy you for what's mine. The room went still. Guns shifted under jackets. Victor laughed, harsh. Then you die with her. He nodded to his men. They raised their weapons. Damien didn't move. He simply looked at his father. The man who had taught him to kill, to rule, to never show mercy. Then he spoke, voice low, lazy, deadly. You killed her family because you feared them. You fear me now. And you should. He pulled his own gun, slow, deliberate. Aimed it at Victor. The room exploded into chaos. Shouts. Gunfire, but Damien was faster. Always faster. When the smoke cleared, Victor Volkov lay dead on the floor, bullet between the eyes. The lieutenant stared, stunned. Damien lowered the gun, voice calm. Anyone else? No one spoke. That he turned, walked out, blood on his coat, eyes empty. Back in his room, Arya waited, curled on the bed. His coat still wrapped around her. She saw the blood. Saw the look on his face. She didn't ask. She just stood. Walked to him. Took his hand. Led him to the shower. Washed the blood from his skin with shaking fingers. He let her. Didn't speak. Just watched her with eyes that had finally broken. When the water ran clear, she pressed her forehead to his chest. You killed your father, she whispered. Yes. For me. For us. She looked up, eyes wide, hate and something softer warring inside. You're a monster. I know. She kissed him then, slow, gentle, tasting blood and tears and truth. He kissed her back like a man drowning. They fell into bed, clothes forgotten, bodies tangling. No punishment this time. No possession. Just need. Just them. When it was over, he held her tight, voice raw. I'd burn the world for you, princess. She traced the scar on his chest. Then burn it. He smiled against her hair. Already started. They didn't promise forever. They just never let go. The empire was his now. The girl was his. And the monster had finally found something worth keeping alive.